Hey, hey, hey. We are the Real Housewives of Real Estate, but today we have our Canadian homegirls. So the homegirls thought that they were coming on the Housewives. So we decided that we're going to be the homegirls today and they can be the housewives.
Fur coats and all.
Yes. So welcome to our show today. We have Hannan and the Homegirls from Ontario, Toronto, Canada.
Yep.
Did I get all of that in there correctly?
It's Paul Hannan, right?
Yes.
Paul Hannan. Yep. And his homegirls. And so we'll go ahead real quick and we'll go around. We'll do a little bit of an introduction and then we will get moving on. I'm Kinsey Lee Eggles with RE/MAX Realty Group in Southwest Florida.
Hey, everybody. Felicia Beltran with RE/MAX Associates, your Colorado connection.
And I'm Sandra Massari with RE/MAX Excellence in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. I'm also working in Delaware and Maryland as well.
And Annette Dalton with RE/MAX Desert Showcase from Phoenix, Arizona.
You want to go first here or me?
Sure.
Jessica Botelho of RE/MAX Professionals out of Toronto. Our team services Toronto and the surrounding areas.
All right. And I'm Taleen Mirzayan with same brokerage, RE/MAX Professionals in the 6th, Toronto.
Nice. And shout out to our housewives that are not on the call with us. We have Alexa Cabala Hughes from Connecticut. We have Deb Carr from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And we are missing Maria Script from South Carolina. So hi to the rest of the housewives out there.
Hey, ladies.
And Tabitha Wewell, Cleveland,
Hello,
Ohio.
We'll probably pop in here real soon anyway. So, if you guys can, maybe just give us a little bit of your background. Tell us how you got started in real estate.
Sure. I'll go ahead with this one first. I've been licensed for 8 years, but I often tell people I've essentially been in the business for as far back as I can remember. We are a team that is all second generation realtors. We all come from parents that have been in the business. My mom's been licensed for over 32 years and kind of fell into it by default. Always said I'd never get into the business. And I reached a point that as I got a little bit older, my love for real estate just kind of kicked in and I could not be happier in my life.
That's awesome.
So we have a very similar story, and Paul as well. We're all second generation. So my father was a RE/MAX broker and owner here in Toronto. And so, started with him answering all the phones and chasing agents for paperwork and that whole thing. And like Taleen, I was like, I never want to do this. But it just kind of all came together and it's really worked out well. So I love it. I've been licensed for 14 years. I was like 18 years old. He's like, go get that exam done, baby. So, but selling full time for 8.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
He's in pros now.
Sorry?
Yeah, that's similar.
He's in pros now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's similar to me. My son, who's 11, will actually be a 3rd generation RE/MAX baby because his father's mother had brokerages in Northern Virginia, and she was a broker owner. My father is an agent. I was a broker owner. I'm back to being an agent, but I've been with RE/MAX for 18 years. And so, yeah, so our son he doesn't want anything to do with real estate. But he's our perfect, little spokes child.
Awesome. You guys want to tell us about your team?
Yeah, there's 3 of us. There's 3 of us, me, Taleen, and Paul. Paul's been in the business. God, Taleen, I just started a sentence.
Paul.
Finish.
A long time.
I don't know if I should say it. He might kill me. But Paul's been in the business a long time, and we've always kind of looked up to him as a mentor. He does really, really well in the agent referral game, and we've always kind of leaned on him. Having we started as a 6-side homegirl, so having that and him having his presence, it just kind of made sense. We were at this kind of place where I think he wants to be able to enjoy life a little bit more. And we are, looking again for a higher level of mentorship. So, what, a year ago, like
yeah, in about 2 days, it's going to be our anniversary.
Happy anniversary. But like about a year ago, we all got together, and it's been a really good time. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of traveling, a lot of meeting people, and a lot of servicing clients that we wouldn't otherwise have had the opportunity to work with if it wasn't for other agents having such great trust in us.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, that's why we all link up and refer business to each other, is the know, like, and trust factor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. We're so alike. There's a lot of worry sometimes, I guess, when people do this. Are your team members going to relate in the same way that you do to those referral partners? And, we really felt strongly that people had nothing to worry about in that aspect. I am literally the female version of Paul, and Taleen is not very far behind that. So we're all so alike, and it works incredibly good.
Hi, Michael. Sure, ask your question.
Oh,
we've got people jumping in.
And I closed my first referral. Yeah, I closed my first referral from Paul probably 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah.
Solid.
There's a lot of movement between, Florida, or even just people buying secondary homes out there, right? Or snowbirds and things like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome to hear. I didn't know that. He never mentioned.
Yeah.
So do you want to take us into the world of COVID, since we've been kind of asking all of our guests about, what's happening in their respective, towns, countries? Let us know what's going on, with the disease, and how your government is, trying to fight it off.
Yeah. T, do you want to go, or?
I think you're pretty well versed in this area. Feel free to shoot.
I've been on top of things. I'm like that person who has my own stats and graphs and everything. I think our country has done a fabulous job. I think the government has done a fabulous job. There's always slips and cracks, and there's things that you wish they had done sooner, could have done more, or maybe bringing more light to. But at the end of the day, when I look at the numbers and I look at the percentage of our population that has actually been confirmed or that is sick versus other countries, and looking at those lines and everything, we're doing amazing here in Canada. And so I'm really proud to be seeing that. It's just, I think everybody is, no matter how well you deal with it, no matter what kind of protocols you're putting in place or the changes you make in your life and all that stuff, I just feel like everybody's kind of dealing with this in the same way, and that there's the super high days and the super low days, and it is what it is. And some days you wake up saying is this a terrible nightmare? Is it ever going to be over? And others you wake up and say, hey, put your big girl pants on and get to work, because that's what we do. Right? So, but, other than that, I think everything's been handled pretty well, both federally and provincially here in Ontario.
Agreed.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah. What's the effects that it's had on your real estate there and your market? Have you seen anything?
So T will speak from a downtown perspective, because that's probably the highest, but I can speak to more suburb areas.
Right. So I can say in the downtown core, we're definitely, across the board, you're seeing just a drop in number of sales. It's eliminated a lot of the tire kickers out of searching for homes, put a little bit of different perspective on investors getting into the market. The majority of the pre-constructions have been put on hold at this point in time. Yesterday they had said on the news, everybody again receives information differently, and how they articulate it is different. So they stated that 69% of sales has gone down in the real estate market, but that's just the number of the supply that's out there, because you're getting the serious sellers that are out there and the serious buyers. So we were right before COVID kicked in, there was if you guys were familiar what was happening up in Canada in 2017, there was aggressive multiple offer situations where people were purchasing homes 100,000 over ask with firm offers, not getting financing in order beforehand, and deals were closing. So it really, in the downtown core, it really surged up prices and across the Golden Horseshoe. So we were starting to see a little bit of that starting to happen again with multiple offers in February. Our spring market started a little bit earlier than naturally it would be, around like end of February, March, April. Started seeing it in February, and then all of a sudden this came into effect, and like people started taking a little bit more of a backseat and being cautious with purchases and sales. But I mean, there's still activity. We have a couple listings on the go right now as a team, trying to service their clients the best way that they can, because they're in situations that they have to make a move. Go ahead, Jess.
Yeah, so coming from a legal standpoint, initially the boards and things like that were very much telling us not to do open houses, not recommending them. Just a couple weeks ago, the government actually stepped in and made them, it's the law. You cannot do an open house anymore. Face-to-face showings are still allowed, but buyers are being asked to, we're being asked to kind of do the video conference first, or buy solely off video and put in a condition on viewing the home. So, it's made things difficult. We have this massive pool of buyers, whether it's right downtown or in the suburbs. There's just a massive pool of buyers and not enough inventory to go around. But when you tell all those buyers, look, we're going to have to be buying off of a video, and things are, change is just as hard for them to take in as it is for us to make those changes. So I think that primarily that upheaval of how things are being done, and that major change and obviously people just not wanting to go out to other people's homes, and sellers not wanting people coming into their homes. That's what, slow down our number of sales. But in terms of sale price and things like that, we're still holding pretty strong. And, year over year, we're still seeing increases, and, month over month, there's still, I think we're leveling at this point. We haven't seen that dip. And of course, that's all dependent on how long this goes on. If these temporary layoffs turn out to be permanent, that will switch things up. But for now, we're still seeing great strength in the Toronto and surrounding area markets. Okay.
Yeah. So you're not quarantined, or you're self-quarantined?
We're being out. It's not like if I go to the store, I'm not going to get in trouble. If I'm out with people who aren't in my household, you can get a ticket for that.
Right.
If you're caught out in the park, parks have been shut down and things like that. So there's no gatherings of 5 or more. Are we still at 5 or more? I think so.
Pretty much.
No gatherings of 5 or more people. And if you're out, you're technically not supposed to be out with anybody other than somebody who's in your household. And I think now they're starting to get a little bit tougher and saying, can we have just one person going to the store and stuff like that? But the legal part is no more than 5 people. And
so then real estate agents are considered essential?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So in Colorado, we're just going back to essential status on Monday. So that's a very interesting type of dynamic. And we only took about a 2-week break. So I know it's different in every place, but I'm kind of surprised that Canada isn't on full lockdown.
I mean, we haven't shown, I don't want to say we haven't shown the need for it, but I think what's happening is governments are trying to find that perfect balance between sustaining the economy and keeping everybody safe.
Right.
And because our real estate market here is so strong and such a big part of the success of our economy, I think that they're, and I think that they recognize there are people that sold, I was working in this situation. I sold their house days before this announcement, and now you've got to find a place. You don't have a choice to go back. There's legal repercussions of that and everything. So I think they realize that it needs, we've been told it needs to come from a need standpoint. They have to have a need. Does that mean that there aren't still agents out there that are working despite that? 100%. Right. But socially responsible agents are taking this seriously, are asking the right questions, and making sure that these clients aren't just looking for a deal to take advantage of the current market situation, that they actually need a home.
So are your clients nervous about purchasing a home sight unseen?
So I'll be honest, I haven't run into this scenario yet, but of course there's a lot of people who are worried about that. I mean, videos make everything, especially virtual home tours and professional ones, they make everything look great, right? So I think what agents are trying to do to offset that is in their video walkthroughs and in our live open houses that are now being hosted, it's they're actually showing. I mean, we don't typically do this, but like, hey, this floor is scratched and this is what the panel looks like. And that's not something that we typically do in like a home tour video, right? So they're finding ways to fulfill the need. And so if the need is, what do you need to see about this home if you're buying it off video? We're trying our best to make sure that those things are highlighted for them. But there's certainly going to be apprehension about it. I mean, you can see it in their number of sales. People, a majority of buyers just aren't willing to take that risk right now.
Right. And especially, and I guess it depends on the price point as well. You know, I mean, biggest purchase of their life, and they're not going to, I mean, most people are not going to be comfortable with that, you know, unless they're in a dire straits type of, you know, scenario. But I guess if you're not showing properties and you're self-quarantine to do your part, then tell us what you're doing on a day-to-day basis to, you know, keep yourself marketable and relatable in your business. Or in the public, I should say.
With respect to like staying relevant in our business, is just each other. Like Jess and I, on a personal level, are trying to keep each other accountable at all times with working on the back end of our business. A lot of things that we wanted to tackle, but never had the time to do it before. So weekly, we stay on top of each other that way. But then staying relevant on social. Like I leverage a lot of Instagram. So from my perspective, it's keeping content out there and not regurgitating everything that media is already letting us know. I think there's a lot of overshare of information. But then like personally trying to keep like our minds clear as well and be in a state of gratitude very much every day.
Yep. And again, doing the human thing, connecting with our clients, giving them a call, seeing how they're doing, how they're dealing with it, you know. And I know everybody's sick and tired of hearing like, how can I help? But how can I help? You know, if they're stuck at home, if they can't go take care of something, I want them to know that, you know, me and the team, we're there for them. Mm-hmm. So that's a big thing that I think is really important. And of course, the foundational like framework that T was talking about, the things our to-do list or project list that we always kind of put on the back burner for like when we have time, when the market slows down, that stuff's really getting tackled right now. Somebody said something the other day, I think it was Deborah Bain from Remax Hallmark, and she said, no, sorry, it wasn't her. I got to take that back. I feel terrible. It was actually, sorry, it was my personal coach. And she had said, you know, when this is all done, you know, and when things get back to busy, are you going to be ready to handle that potential influx? Right. And that comes from systemizing, and that comes from making sure that everything in the background is done and dealt with. So that's where we're at. We're trying to make sure that we got that framework coming together. I
agree wholeheartedly. Yeah, I think we've all been doing that.
Yep, that's all you can do to keep yourself. I don't want to say sane, but to keep yourself grounded, you know, and to keep, you know, yourself from straying into that negative space that we can very easily go. You know, when we're used to this roller coaster of real estate, right? And when something like this happens, you just don't know when that cart's going to come back up the hill, and it can be a little bit worrisome. So we grind.
I think if you're busy agents, you know, you get used to, you know, always going and cramming everything into your schedule. And that's why we don't have time to work inside of our business. We're mostly working on top of it. And so you're right. You know, when things come to a pause like this, it's uncomfortable. It's unfamiliar. It's like uncharted, like waters. And it does create a lot of anxiety. I just think that, you know, majority of us real estate agents are type A, and it just doesn't sit very well. So we have to occupy, you know, our minds and do other things.
Yeah. I do agree though, that once all this lets up, that it's going to be like a floodgates opening. So we all need to kind of prepare for that, because we're kind of missing our spring market right now. So once they open all of this, I think it's really going to be important that we're ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So true. And I just want to say, hey girl, so I was backstage and all of a sudden I look up and I'm like, oh my God, how long have I been on for? It's so good to see you guys. And we just have to give a shout out to Paul. He said, great info, homegirls. We are fortunate up here that people have taken this whole COVID-19 issue to heart. And that as agents, we have, for the most part, done a very professional job of working with the very motivated buyers and sellers that remain active out of necessity. I love that, Paul. I think you're great. I love the Homegirls. I think you guys are just such, like you said before, I mean, I love how you guys are all second generations and that together you guys are stronger. And I think it's a beautiful thing. So that being said, I know we were just talking about how to roller coaster and we're working on ourselves. Are you guys finding any type of routine at all? Or are you guys just like, because I find that there's days where I wake up and I try to have a routine. And there's other days where I'm like, you know what, maybe this morning I want to sleep in, you know, like you find that you're able to have any specific habits that are really helpful to start your day off?
100%. I'm going to speak on this like immediately. I think despite the circumstances, I've always been a creature of habit. I know that if I don't have a schedule myself, and I could create it to make it look whichever way I choose, I need to get up at a certain hour. And the first thing that I have to do, other than like brush my teeth, is hit the pavement or do something of physical activity, because I need to get that rush of energy throughout my body to be able to tackle everything else that I have set on my mental to-do list or my paper to-do list, and that's areas I'm working on, or my virtual to-do list. These are the things I need to do. So I've committed to like fasting from 12 to 8. I've committed to not drinking during the time of being on COVID. I've committed to running in the morning, like 2 days running, 1 day off of doing like yoga or another activity for my mindset, and then connecting on a daily basis with like my business partners to make sure that we're all level-headed and feeling good about the entire situation and what we're doing individually in our businesses outside of the team. And living by my Google Calendar. That's been a game changer. The first 2 weeks, it was very uncomfortable. We didn't know how to adapt, but I feel like now 4 weeks into it, 5 weeks into it, we're in that adaptive state, and we know exactly what we need to do to pull out of this above water.
I'm a little bit more of a mess. I'm like you, Alexa. Don't worry, you're not alone. There's days where I am on point and I got it all together and that checklist is done. And then there's others where I don't even want to look at it. So, you know, and again, I think everybody's going through that ebb and flow a little bit, right? And some of us are a little bit better at sticking to, you know, how we've set out our day to be and everything. And some of us are just fly by the seat of our pants kind of people, right? So don't beat yourself up over it, girl.
No, definitely. And I want to add to that is that every single person needs to understand that it is okay and not to be okay at certain times. A lot of times during days, hours, whatever it takes for yourself. Like there was a lot of, I'm sure perhaps maybe you guys felt the same way. There was a lot of pressure from social media that you have to accomplish so much during this time. Like take a course, read a book, clean out your entire house, purge yourself of all this negativity. And it's like you were inundated with all of these like limiting things to say, I need to do all this or else I'm not coming out of this bigger or better. Right. It's not about coming out of this bigger, better, accomplished. It's really coming out of this sane, like being okay, or realizing that perhaps you have like a new adjustment or you've learned something new about yourself. But I'm like a firm believer. Like I see a lot of people going through those pressures, and that's a-okay if you're feeling down. Feel those emotions, flow through it, figure out a way, and like lean on people or lean into something that just makes you feel good. Don't beat yourself up about it.
I love it. And that's what it is, right? And that's exactly what our guest Rob Levy said this morning from Australia. He's like, listen, there's days where it's like, I don't want to get out of bed. You know what? Then don't rest. Mm-hmm. Do what you need to do. Do whatever you need to do to feel good, right? Because so many people are feeling not okay. And by the way, one of the best things to make yourself feel better, just reach out to someone, ask how they're doing, right? By offering as a support for someone else, it kind of goes both ways, you know? So I want to thank you guys because you personally have been such an inspiration and support to me. And a great friendship. So thank you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I love that people are taking care of themselves mentally, physically, you know, and I think when Rob said that this morning, I know that I felt it because, you know, there's been days where I don't feel okay. And it's really hard to admit that when you're used to just, you know, kind of using distraction to be okay. And then you have to sit in your thoughts and we have plenty of time to do that. Like, it really made me feel better just hearing him say that. And the same thing with you. I mean, I think it just gives you great comfort when you know you're not alone. You know, there's going to be days where we're just going to struggle, but thankfully we all have each other to lean on. So that's cool. Let's talk about self-care. Let's talk about, you know, what you're doing. I mean, obviously you're doing exercise and following your calendar to be productive, but let's talk about like mentally, what are you doing to kind of, you know, even yourself out?
My Calm app is my best friend.
Oh.
They have like daily meditations, the daily Calm. It's like 10 minutes to get through. You know, we both did the John Amaral 7-day from fight or flight to flow challenge, which he is yes, love it. It's my favorite. Worth every penny for I don't know if you have the subscription. I got it. It is worth every penny. But we did the John Amaral challenge. He is an energy healer. So we're both very in tune with our energies, those of other people, and how we process and deal with them. And so I think that was a really great thing for us. It kind of came out right in the beginning of everything. And it was fantastic. I loved it. So, but what else? I mean, T, what are you doing?
I'll do it again, running. Running is something that I took up last year. And 3 months later, I ran my first half marathon, and then I completely stopped. So getting back, I'm like, I live in the city. I have a beautiful boardwalk and like track right by my house. And I just needed to get out there. I needed to recharge. Like for me, I'm a girl of nature, and I feel all the energy flow through my body when I'm connected to the earth. Yes. A little whatever. I needed that for myself. So I'm like, I was struggling. Like, I'm not going to lie. I went from running 21 kilometers or even like 10 kilometer, 15 kilometer days. I can't translate that into miles, but I think you guys can figure it out.
I think it's like 16 something.
10K is like 6 miles.
It's like, it was easy. It was like a no-brainer. My body would just move. And when I started running again this time around, the conversations I started to have in my head, that negative self-talk that we apply in everything in our life, started to kick in. How can't you run 3 kilometers? You used to be able to run 10. This is ridiculous. Yep. And then I just let that negative self-talk go. And I'm so blessed and fortunate to have like a business partner and friend like Jess in my life that we keep each other accountable for that. We started saying, all right, this week we're doing 3.5 kilometers. And then next week it's 4 kilometers. And like now we're up at 5 and we're crushing it and we feel good. So like, here's a new challenge for ourselves. Like, I have my Apple Watch and I've been like tracking my steps. I need to like hit 15,000 steps minimum every day. And I started doing what I never thought I would do, like calculating my macros, because I don't necessarily want to, I know that getting up and moving around every single day is a little bit more challenging than others. We would be able to easily clock in maybe 15,000 kilometers or steps if we're working, but we're at home. So are we doing that? We're figuring out ways to move. The Calm app has been a great asset to me as well. Like I sleep so much better because of it. And just eating right, avoiding those processed sugars. Like that's just what's worked for me. So what works for me may not work for other people, but
I'm like shoving them down my mouth like by the handful. Give me all the carbs.
I know Alexa's big with the Peloton bike.
Oh yeah.
And she's constantly doing that in her yoga. So that's amazing.
It makes all the difference. So T, you and I are so similar because in movement, I find meditation, right? Yeah. I don't know what it is, something about pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And when you're able to do that physically, then you could take on the rest of your day because you've already gone through the most uncomfortable part of your day. Yep. Holding that plank, you know what I mean? Like going for that run, even just sometimes just going for a nice walk, playing the meditation, whatever the case may be, you know, or having a nice conversation while you're on a walk. But yes, I must say my Peloton, incredible. With technology, yes, we are alone, but we've never been more connected than ever. If you want to do a yoga class, go on YouTube. You don't have to have a Peloton. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? Like there's so much out there and there's so many content creators and, you know, yogi gurus that are putting out their content or, you know, doing body, like poses with your like full body type of moves and things like that. I mean, there's so much out there. So I think when people are feeling not okay, that's okay. Maybe you want to eat the carbs. Maybe you want to have the pizza, like whatever, chill out, like lean into it, like go all, you're going to do it, like enjoy it. But if you want to start moving and feeling good, like just know that all that's out there. And we don't necessarily have to jump from feeling like really bad to really good. Maybe just go from feeling really bad to okay, you know?
Sheldon agrees. He said movement first thing in the morning has been key for him as well during this time. And I couldn't agree more. I'm the same way. And, you know, I never realized how much time we spend, you know, in the car or in the office or going on showing appointments and listing appointments. I've really leaned into the nature piece of, you know, my life. You know, we're fortunate enough, I can ride my bike from the city park all the way to the Pueblo Reservoir, and it's gorgeous. You know, back there, it's this huge body of water. And when you're in it, like in the summer when we go boating, it's kind of like being in the coves of Mexico. Like it's that gorgeous. And how fortunate am I to live by something like that? But would I ever go on, you know, normally? No, because I'm too busy. So I'm leaning into the nature piece of it, you know, bike riding. My bike was sitting in the garage forever. So I appreciate, you know, the fact that, you know, we have the opportunity to kind of change things up a little bit. And I'm leaning into that more. And that gives me a little bit of comfort.
Yeah.
And
the mountains by you, Alexa's got like great trails and stuff. Like
yeah.
So jealous. A lot of our stuff here is closed down. We do have a lot of great like waterfalls and parks like that, just like a little bit outside the city. And I'm like, I haven't even, it's a 40-minute drive, right? But it's like, I don't really want to take that drive in the event that all those trails are closed. Because if the waterfront trails and things like that are closed, then, you know, it probably means that it is too. I found my one little safe spot the other day that was open, and it was like everything. Yeah.
So that being said, so the nature part, you guys have the waterfront. Can you talk to us a little bit about why people love Toronto? Because I know we had chatted before. You have the nature walk, like the waterfront walk, right? And then a lot of different like lakes and things. Is that correct?
So we're not on an ocean. We're not on the east or west coast. We're kind of like somewhere in the middle. And so we have a lot of freshwater lakes and things like that. Right in the city, we have Lake Ontario, and the waterfront there, and the waterfront trail, you know, expands all the way from the east end of town all the way to Niagara. I believe that waterfront trail goes. It is a massive waterfront trail, and a lot of people use it. You know, obviously the people who are running in Toronto, they're sticking that Toronto trail, but it does connect thoroughly right through. And so I think it's amazing. They have, because initially what people were doing is, all right, we're quarantined, so weekends they would go to the parks and kind of hang out. But the fact is that it's just, there's not enough, it's just not enough space. You know, walking on that boardwalk, there's no way you're going to get that 6 feet or 2 meters, whether you're metric or imperial. You know, there's no way that you're going to get that and things like that. So people are getting a lot of tickets. So they basically put up these massive cement barriers in front of all of the parking lots so that people can't park there. Can you still access the trail to run it? Yes, but has limiting the amount of people that can actually park at that waterfront spot has that minimized the amount of people that are, you know, passing by or be interacting with each other 100%. So that's something that's definitely been a little bit heartbreaking, especially for me. I've lived by the lake my entire life and really leaned into it a lot. I would have rough days and literally just go sit there for half an hour until I felt better and get back to it. So it's really sad to see that, but there are ways, if you know, there's ways to get around it and still get to a little, you know, safe haven. But otherwise, it's been pretty cut off here for now.
Yeah, we're the same here. All the parks are shut down. We're not supposed to be out socializing. So, you know, maybe after dinner, you know, or right before dinner, just go for a walk around the neighborhood, and like all the other neighbors are out trying to doing the same thing, you know, like run around just to get some fresh air, change things up a bit.
It must be also for the people with like kids. Like, how do you walk through those trails or walk by that park and tell your kids like you can't go on the playground? Like, that's so tough, you know. For me, I'm grown. I know I can't go on that playground or whatever. I walk right by it. But for them, that must be so tough as a parent, you know?
Yeah, my little one, he can't go over the neighbor's house and play. They can't come over here. You know, they can't really go outside either and play together. So it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one of the beautiful things that I've noticed is with people with walking through the neighborhood, as I love seeing families working together. I've seen so many families working on their yards and greening things up and just cleaning it up and, taking pride and ownership. And then I've seen families, on their bikes or taking their dogs for walks. And I just think that, if there is a silver lining in all of this, when it comes to families and kids, like that's it. That's priceless.
Yeah, the time they're getting to spend with them that they otherwise wouldn't have, right?
Yeah, it's a much slower pace.
Yeah.
And I know with my kids, we've done game night, we do movie night, we've roasted marshmallows, we're constantly figuring out something new to do, and it's a lot of fun. And I think that even cooking together, like, my daughter's learning how to cook, and that's fun.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, we've been doing the same thing. We are blessed to be able to walk out of our front yard and go fishing in the river. And that has been like our saving grace, is being able to just, throw a fishing line in, away from people. Because if we walk down the street and go to the pier, people aren't really practicing the distancing on the pier. So we're blessed that we're right there. And also, we started a garden, which isn't going so great, but I've never been able to keep anything other than my child alive. but we're trying. And, what's with my health, I can't have any human interaction with anyone. I can't even social distance. I can't go to the grocery store. There are so many things that I cannot do, but I'm blessed to be able to have my son here, who's 11 and absolutely hysterical, to keep me entertained. And then when the rest of our neighborhood is not out, then we can go for our bike rides and our walks. And so I look out, my office looks right out. And I have gotten all of the times down as to when everyone pours out of downtown Fort Myers and starts through our neighborhood, which they always used to go the other way towards downtown Fort Myers. And they just realized that this little neighborhood over here exists. So,
and I think Kitty's been quarantined longer than any person that I know.
I have been. I am on, and let me check right quick because it's day 40 something.
Wow.
And the only really count I have is because I hashtag it on Facebook. Otherwise, I just lose count. And I am on day, let's see here.
They all blend together. That's all I have to say.
I know all of I'm on day 42.
Wow.
It's a sight to see, people dropping off her groceries, bringing food and leaving it on her step, watching her give blood via Facebook Live.
Oh, yeah. This morning I had one of my girlfriends. Well, one of my other girlfriends dropped off all of my lab supplies to pull my labs. And then my other girlfriend, that's a registered nurse, came to my door, and I hung my arm out the door, and she pulled all of my labs and dropped them off at the lab this morning.
Oh, wow.
That's so nice.
We Facebook Lived it. We were laughing hysterically. But it really does, for me, it takes, it really has taken a village to be able to keep my business going. I'm lucky to have 2 incredibly badass buyer's agents on my team, and one more getting ready to join here soon. And we're all working virtually. We're all working from home, but we do, we put a condo under contract yesterday. We have a closing, I believe, on Monday. And one of my buyer's agents is opening doors tomorrow. And all he is doing is, because this is someone that needs to be in their new home by June 1st. So we've already done the video tours, and he has 2 homes that he wants to see. And so Vic, who's on my team, will show up, open the lockbox, open the door, let them tour the home, and then lock up after that. And then we'll get together on a Zoom call to discuss which homes they're interested in purchasing. So yeah, we're doing pretty good. I listed a home just like this the other day, sent my photographer. He did the video, photos, Matterport 3D tour, and that one just went on the market yesterday. And I have another one going on the market Monday, exact same way, meeting just like this.
You know what's funny is that hearing you talk, Kinsey, how hard was it to get a client to do a video call with us prior, right?
Right.
Now, during COVID, because they're like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to meet in person. Of course, they're like, they would prefer that, right? We're just on the phone. Now it's the norm. So what practices do you think that we can take with us post-COVID to be more efficient and effective moving forward? What do you guys think, T and Jess?
I think our business models are going to be drastically changed. We're going to be able to amalgamate traditional. Oh, hey.
Is she wearing fur? Oh, no.
Yes, I love it.
Hi, lady.
Hold on.
I got you drink. We can all share a drink, but not get the corona.
I love
I
it.
was waiting for
My
you.
goodness.
It's been a day. Oh,
Sanitizer and everything.
oh gosh, yeah, girl. You gotta be safe. Practice safety.
I love it.
Safe shopping.
Amazing.
Kinsey, whose code is this?
I love all of this.
Oh, I love that coat.
From R4.
Is that Todd's coat?
That's mine. But when I come visit, I don't need it in Florida. So when I come visit you, that's when I wear it, and you get to rock it the rest of the world.
I freaking love you. This is our relationship, right? This is what it's all about. Friends from all over the world. We give each other the shirt off our back, the freaking, what is this?
Fur off.
Fur coat off our back.
Off my shoulders.
All right, Carol Bass.
I love it. I love it. I was thinking to myself, when can I put that back on?
Here we go.
Now.
Now's the perfect time.
Right?
This is the
I
best.
love it. Oh, my dad just tuned in. Hi, Dad. Thanks for watching.
Hi, Johnny.
Hello.
He's the original badass Johnny B.
Well, tonight, I'm gonna swap Sandy back in while I go grab something.
Yes.
So funny.
What you were saying before, like how things are going to look different with our businesses as we move forward and out of this. I was saying, I personally believe it's going to be a beautiful merger, or not even fusion of traditional methods, as well as like marrying these new ways that we've adapted to operating our businesses. So like you said, these virtual like buyer consultations, seller consultations, our tours, we're going to be able to provide more opportunities for people, I think.
Yeah. And it's gonna be a more openness, I think, to the general public to a more technological, way of going about things. Why? I mean, if we can do things like this, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we make life simpler, right? But then again, there is also that need for human interaction, and this may blow over, and people are actually might want that more. Right. So it's hard to see where things are going to go. But I definitely think that a lot of the new stuff that we're doing, or the stuff that we're putting in place now in terms of, the video chats and enhanced virtual tours and stuff like that, I think that's going to go a really long way. And it's going to become a standard, not just above and beyond. We're doing this because of this. It's going to be, we're doing this because this is the standard, the baseline.
Because it works.
And it works. Absolutely.
I think we've had so many conversations with brokers and asked them the same questions. What are you doing in your business? How are you improving? How do you think it's evolving? I think we are turning a corner when it comes to real estate practices, and this is going to make all the difference. We're going to get people on board. They're going to see that we're going to be more efficient and more productive, if we minimize our distractions and use our time wiser.
Yeah.
I love it. And even like a buyer consult, if you want to meet to show you a home, you're not willing to meet me in my office, let's hop on a Zoom call. Let's have something. I think it's
require it.
Yeah, everybody's gonna know how to do this.
Even our group text message last night between the 9 of us was pretty hysterical. And it really did brighten my day after trying to teach 5th grade.
Trying, keyword trying.
I'm doing pretty decent.
You're doing great.
Rob, were you saying something here?
I think I was. No, I think I agree wholeheartedly with this. And I think that everything should be done this way, and everybody's going to know how to Zoom. Everybody's going to be comfortable with the video. I think that's where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
I love it. Why drive?
Yeah. And I think the agents that do not adapt are going to be gone.
For sure.
I agree.
Yeah. So, the agents that refuse to be comfortable with any sort of video, the agents that refuse to Tabitha's pointing at herself.
So you're basically saying Tabitha's done.
The agents that are not not tech savvy, and they don't know how to jump on a Zoom call, or they're nervous or they're scared. Like, I'm always happy to help those agents out and give them some words of advice to help them to keep moving forward, because otherwise they're not going to last in the future.
But you can see a lot of people moving out of their comfort zones and trying new things. They're trying the Zoom calls. They're trying to do video. They're learning Instagram and they're working with all of that. And I think that that's great. I mean, no matter what age you are, if you're trying to grow, then you're going to take those leaps.
Yeah,
agreed.
Absolutely, 100%.
And it's almost like at this point, I feel like we're kind of forced to, because some of it is kind of like diddle-daddled around it, stick our toe in the pool, feel it out a little bit, and I feel like this happening, as much as it's a burden, 100%, I feel like it's a blessing at the same time, in that it's pushing us to do the things that we said we didn't have time to do, the things that we just didn't feel comfortable to do, and ultimately the things we all know we should have been doing all along. Now all of a sudden, we've got this like kick in the ass to go, sorry about my language, I hope that's okay, to go out and just do it. Is there somebody in the back censoring this?
No. If you would have heard,
we are uncensored.
The job, you'd laugh your asses off, because we actually, and we've disclosed this before, some of the things that come out of our mouth are not a representation of RE/MAX.
Right.
God, I've learned that.
Good call.
Right?
So I love it. Do you guys see the shout out from Kayla? This is so sweet.
Yes.
To the Homegirls and the amazing work they have done and continue to do through 2020. Wishing you all the best of success. Cheers.
So Kayla and her family are longtime clients of mine and major support. I'm like gonna cry. And major supporters. She's awesome, and I think all of our circles are going to be just as supportive and amazing as this. So thank you, Kayla. I love you.
Thank you, Kayla.
And we love the Homegirls too.
Yes,
we love you.
That's for sure.
Yeah, and if you guys know, and Kayla, if you know anybody moving to Florida or Colorado or Connecticut or Ohio.
I can't wait till we're all hanging out. We have to all come visit.
I know.
Toronto.
I know I've said it a million times, but Vegas was just a couple months ago and feels years ago. Honestly, ladies, God, we came back from that to this, like, it was just like, hope you enjoyed yourself, because
That's a lot to do after a while.
I'm so glad we got to go and do everything, because think lockdown, the whole planet shut down.
Yes.
Well, we wish you continued success. We're so glad you're our friends and our referral partners, and we're going to keep leaning on each other, right?
Yes, 100%.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see you guys all after this is lifted. We're doing a trip. I'm sure we'll see you at R4. But thank you guys so much for spending this time with us. And we hope our viewers got a little taste of the Homegirls, and, they're your go-to connect in Toronto.
Well, thank you for having us. We
Thank
love
you.
and miss all of you guys very much.
We love and miss you too.
Love you guys.
Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Bye, ladies.
Take care.
Stay warm or
Stay safe.
turn on your AC.
Cheers.
We're freezing over here.
Cheers, ladies.